The SSL Listen Mic compressor is a studio classic. It was introduced in the legendary 4000E series console in 1979. It did not take long for some creative engineers to hear the potential in its distinctive compression style and tone. The Listen Mic compressor circuit was originally designed to prevent the live room talkback mic from overloading, but came to fame when legendary producer Hugh Padgham left it on whilst a certain famous 80s drummer began to play. The fixed attack, release and ratio of the compressor imparted a heavily compressed sound, a sound that became unmistakable on so many records from that era. With more and more producers introducing analog outboard processors to breathe new life into their mixes, the LMC Plus is the perfect tool to sculpt some truly distinctive sounds for drums, guitars, vocals, or pretty much anything. The LMC Plus is a lot more than a simple compressor. The module features a set of variable high and low pass filters, movable between the audio path or the compressor sidechain, a wet-dry control for instant parallel compression, an SSL patented band subtraction mode, labelled split, and a button that inverts the phase of the compressed signal, called scoop. In this video, we'll explore what all of these features do and how they can be used. Let's take a listen to some aggressive compression on ambient drums. Here's the original sound. Now let's insert the LMC Plus, with the threshold all the way down and the mix fully wet for maximum crunch. This is the LMC Plus in its classic use. The fixed ratio attack and release curves grab the transients and bring out the ambience. Next, we'll tidy up the signal using the variable high and low pass filters to make it more mixable. This has noticeably reduced some of the pumping, but the aggression is still there. Let's compare the original and processed versions. Using the sidechain button, the filters can be moved out of the audio path and into the compressor sidechain, making the compressor less sensitive to low-end information. The weight of the kick drum in the main audio path is now restored. Let's take another example. Here is a mix of close and room drum mics. I have the LMC Plus module inserted only across the room mics. Listen as I move the control from dry to wet to bring some life into the ambience. Subtle but effective. Now I'm going to solo just the room mics and explore the effect of the split button. This is SSL's own patented bandpass subtraction mode. It works in conjunction with the filters to set the frequency range to be compressed. Have a listen to the following example, focusing your attention on the snare drum, as split is toggled in and out. You can hear how split reduces the snare in relation to the other drums, a great trick to use when you've captured too much snare in the room mics. Now let's listen to what can happen when split and scoop are used together. Scoop will invert the phase of the compressed signal. First you'll hear just the room mics, then split on its own, followed by split and scoop together. Notice how the combination of split and scoop brings the kick drum right to the front with a lot of weight behind it. Different combinations of split and scoop can easily manipulate your entire drum sound. Let's compare this combination when mixed back in with the close mics. Now let's explore how the LMC Plus can carve out a mix-ready bass sound. Here's an audio example with some drums and bass. I'm going to use the split button to engage the band subtraction mode and use the filters so that only the mid-range is affected by the compressor. What's really useful about this approach is that my wet-dry control now allows me to adjust the balance between the low end and mid-range on a single control. Listen as I sweep from dry to wet and then settle on a balance of the two. With just a few controls, I've added definition and controlled the balance between the low end and the mid-range of the bass without an EQ in sight. Finally, we'll take a listen to how the LMC Plus can make guitars cut through the mix really easily with straightforward parallel compression. And here are the guitars with a mix of uncompressed and compressed signal. The wet-dry control is at just over 50%. The mix of uncompressed and compressed signal brings the guitars right to the front, with an added edge and aggression that makes them sit better in the mix. The LMC Plus can be as subtle or as brutal as you want it to be, with a few simple controls that can create a whole range of sounds and textures. The best way to use it is to just start turning controls and see where it takes you. For more information, please visit solidstatelogic.com.